I think that everyone should start small and buy a couple ounces whenever you can. Get on a allocation program. Buy a couple ounces every week. But don't try to go and take on the COMEX. It's not going to win. What happens is, my theory being, is that if everyone drains all the physical supply across the globe, you're seeing it already with the mints running into problem. If everyone were to convert their unallocated synthetic programs into allocated physical product, number one, and number two, just buy physical as often as you can. Yes, it helps Miles Franklin. I'm not talking my book. I'm just simply saying this is how it's going to happen. If there's no physical supply anywhere, it's got to spill over into COMEX. Now you have legitimate refining needs, legitimate minting needs. And if the COMEX is, we have no silver to sell you, refinery, you can't make your rounds or bars. And sorry, US Mint, we have no silver to sell you. And well, the mints aren't, delivering anything right now. That supply is so tight, you're out of, doesn't the price just have to rise automatically if there is no supply anywhere? If you go back to 2017 and see a linear progression, starting with all of the central banks repatriating their gold, the first one being the German Bundesbank, and most of the European central banks pulling their gold back from the Bank of England and the New York Fed, that started everything. Then you see the others taking all the metal off of COMEX, and now they're pulling it off the exchange. So you're seeing the most well-funded and informed traders on the planet, both private and the central banks and commercial banks. They're all doing the same thing. They're front-running this deal. So, do what they do. We can't do it on the same level, but you just buy what you can. And instead of being unallocated, do what these big players are doing. What are they doing? They are taking possession. They are moving counterparty risk. They are going allocated. Instead of it being in a pooled form, they are taking delivery, which means it's now mine. And the term rehypothecation, then you can throw out the window. So to me, the big money is doing this. Now they're able to do it on a higher level. But for you and I and everyone else out there, if it's 2 ounces, so be it. If everyone takes 2 ounces across the globe, there'll be nothing left ever for anyone else. And that is why, that is how you win. You don't start at the top. You start at the bottom and bleed the shelves empty of supply, so that all of the dealers, all of the refineries, all of the mints, they have to go to the COMEX because there's nowhere else to get it, or directly to the mines, but they're not going to do it. So you go to the COMEX, and the COMEX says, sorry, guys, there's no silver. Doesn't the price just have to rise then? Isn't that what supply and demand is? Because right now, they've done a hell of a job at making price discovery next to impossible. And that's the key. They're really good at hiding the truth through things like rehypothecation, through things like synthetic programs. I'll give you one more example. How do they keep the price where it is? Well, February 1st and 2nd, Tom, we had more demand than we've ever seen, ever. That was right when Reddit hit. And that was when you had hundreds of millions of ounces going into SLV, more than it's ever gone into it in a 2-day period, ever. On that Friday night, I think it was the 1st, all the big online companies shut down. And people were calling me left and right. Do you see JM Bullion shut down? You see AdMax is shut down. Do you see this? Do you see this? And I would say, yes, I see it. And it looks like, they would say, that looks like they're all out of product, that they don't have anything. And it did appear that way. And in some cases it was that way. But let me just explain what that really meant and the significance of all this, trying to tie it all together. The market's open 24/7. Except on Friday night here in Minnesota, it closes at around 4:30 or 5 o'clock Central Time and opens back up at 5 o'clock Central Time Sunday. That's the only time it sleeps for that 48 hours. All the online companies shut down because of demand. We sell 90,000 ounces from close on Friday at 5 o'clock till Saturday morning. In 8-10 hours, we sell 90,000 ounces. Could have sold more, but we slept and we're not online. So, in that environment, one would suspect that there's wicked demand, not just for physical, but the ETFs too. You have the Reddit group going nuts, and silver pops up to $30. But remember I said that you saw 90 million ounces backdoored out of SLV? Think about that for a second. On that Friday night, you had over 100 million go into SLV, the biggest I'd ever seen. And then they, at high prices, approaching 30. Then the cartel, Goldman Sachs, You got this Jeffrey Curry saying the shorts are the ETFs. Well, they drive the price down in a very orchestrated event in broad daylight, so they don't even care anymore that it's ridiculous. And then what do they do over the preceding few weeks? Backdoor 90 million ounces out of SLV. They're the only ones who can, the authorized participants, at subsidized prices. They sell it up here, and then they drive it down by $3-4 and pull it all out again. So they basically sold them at high prices and pulled it all out at $3 to $4 less, 90 million ounces. They covered the majority of what they shorted. They screwed everyone and covered, drove the price down and covered, and got all of that silver basically at $3 less or more than they sold it to the public for in SLV. So when you talk about concerted effort to keep the price down, it's never been stronger. The big banks are freaking out. They're afraid. And that's why the way to beat them is just by getting rid of all of the silver, because you can see what the big money is doing. They're taking possession of it. They're pulling it out of the exchanges, and the cartel, the people that are shorting the price for a reason, not just for the hell of it, their efforts are not having the same effect that they used to. They have to expend more energy, spend more money, $45 billion to short a market. And it's not having as much effect because the physical demand is off the chart. And I would submit that whether it's the big money draining the COMEX and the ETFs and the London Metals Exchange and all of the big exchanges, or us on the street draining the coffers of 1 ounce coins, in the end, it has the same result. If there is no silver for the public, price will go higher. You cannot be thrown off the bull by price. The price is a tool of misdirection. They are misdirecting the hell out of the public by knocking the price down. But the fundamentals behind it, they are as skewed or more skewed than the stock market in the U.S. is, with an economy that's been eviscerated. Stock market at all-time highs, yet, the economy is hanging on by a thread in many cases. It's the tail wagging the dog. Same thing here. So I know I'm kind of being long-winded here, Tom, but I'm trying to draw an analogy, and it's just simply that the biggest money in the world is doing what you're asking. They're doing it at the top, but we can't do that. We will end up getting stopped out, or they'll change the rules. We start by taking all the silver we can find, and everyone who's got a synthetic program, GLD, SLV, pooled program with Kitco, pooled program with Perth, any of these pooled unallocated programs, get the hell out of them and go to allocated, go to physical, take the real thing, and you'll see real quick how that will affect really the greater landscape. To be a lone wolf and to make a move based upon your gut and your intuition when everyone else is doing something other than that, they laugh at you for doing these things. It's a lonely existence, but that's why so few people ever succeed in investing. And the herd mentality is not a friend of investing.